I think almost every one of you dreamed to be an astronaut in the past. I mean, how cool would it be to see our whole planet from above or fly through the International Space Station? So it's safe to say that a lot of normal processes on Earth are completely different in space. And exactly this is going to be the topic of today's video. I will show you processes from astronauts on board the International Space Station which are completely normal on Earth but not in weightlessness. You don't want to miss other videos about our endless universe? Then like this video and follow this account for more. However, let's start with the locomotion of the astronauts. Alright, I think the number one process which changes for astronauts is how they move in space because of weightlessness. In space, there is no up or down, because on Earth your balance system tells you how your head moves relative to gravity, but in space, the gravity reference is gone. That causes these perceptual illusions, as well as difficulty coordinating movement of the eyes and head. But after about 3 days, the body has usually become accustomed to weightlessness. How do astronauts sleep? Between zero gravity and small sleeping quarters, astronauts have to sleep in space, even if it's difficult. On the International Space Station, an astronaut sleeps in quarters roughly the size of a phone booth. They cocoon themselves in a sleeping bag tethered to a wall. As I said, there is no up or down in space. With zero gravity, an astronaut floats around the cabin while sleeping, potentially injuring themselves if not tethered in place. An astronaut's sleeping quarters needs good ventilation. In the weightless environment of space, astronauts expel carbon dioxide that could form a bubble around their heads. They sleep near an air vent to avoid this potential lack of oxygen to the brain. Brain cells are sensitive. In less than 5 minutes, brain cells can start to die without oxygen. Brain hypoxia can cause brain damage, or worse, death. How do astronauts go to the toilet? The astronauts on board the International Space Station pee in this yellow piece of equipment. After turning this rotor 90 degrees, it will create a suction effect which will suck their pee into a solid water container. By the way, their urine gets recycled into drinkable water. And when they have to poop, the principle is actually exactly the same suction. There is a solid waste container here, and on top of it is this seat. It creates the same suction effects which allows you to poop in weightlessness. How do astronauts brush their teeth and wash their hairs and body? Astronauts can use the same types of toothbrushes and toothpastes that we use here on Earth, although it's easier to use toothpastes with fixed caps so that there's one less thing to worry about floating around while they're brushing their teeth. They may also prefer special toothpaste that they can swallow.
Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I've got a mouthful of toothpaste stuff, I got a dirty toothbrush. So what I do is I just swallow the toothpaste. It's edible, won't kill you.
To avoid a mess and extra waste, another item that astronauts need to brush their teeth are drink bags, which are small foil pouches that are filled with water and come with an attached straw. I think I don't have to explain why they can't take a normal shower like on Earth. Showers, baths, swimming, these are all experiences most of us take for granted on Earth. There's nothing quite like experiencing the cool touch of water from the shower or jumping into a pool on a hot day. Gravity is what makes all of these experiences possible. It pushes that cool and refreshing water off your back and into the drain, but all that changes in space. The lack of gravity causes water and soap suds to stick to everything. However, on the Space Shuttle and International Space Station, astronauts went back to the old-fashioned way of bathing in space. On the ISS, astronauts do not shower but rather use liquid soap, water, and rinseless shampoo. They squeeze liquid soap and water from pouches onto their skin. Then they use rinseless soap with a little water to clean their hair. They use towels to wipe off the excess water. An airflow system nearby quickly evaporates excess water. How do astronauts do sport? First of all, why do astronauts do sports on board the International Space Station? Exercise is an important part of the daily routine for astronauts aboard the station to prevent bone and muscle loss. On average, astronauts exercise 2 hours per day. The equipment they use is different than what we use on Earth. Lifting 227 kilograms on Earth may be a lot of work, but lifting that same object in space would be much easier. Because of microgravity, it would weigh much less than 227 kilograms there. And which sports equipments are on the International Space Station? The International Space Station is equipped with 3 machines designed to give astronauts that full-body workout: a bicycle, a treadmill, and a weightlifting machine called Advanced Resistive Exercise Device. How do astronauts eat in space? Most people don't imagine that gravity has an effect on our sense of taste. Turns out it does indirectly. When floating in a microgravity environment, the tissues in our bodies become more evenly dispersed instead of being pulled down to our legs and feet. This causes astronauts to experience puffy or more rounded faces. If you've ever eaten with a head cold or pinched your nose shut when you had to eat something you didn't like, you know that smell isn't essential to taste. This congestion makes it difficult to smell acutely and causes food to taste different or rather bland. Because of this, astronauts often prefer foods with intense flavors, particularly sweet, salty, bitter, and particularly spicy. Food for NASA's current astronauts is prepared and packaged at the Space Food Systems Laboratory at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. There, astronauts select the meals they would like for their mission. The lab creates food that is nutritious, ensuring peak health and performance for the crew, and is an important entity for the research and development of meals for long-duration missions of up to 5 years. Long missions require space foods to have a long shelf life, meaning it is safe to eat after months or years at ambient or room temperature. So there are a lot of differences between the life on Earth and the life on board the International Space Station. My question to you is, which of these stories would you like to do? Is it flying through the ISS, working out in space, or something different? Write it in the comments. And I hope I see you all in the next video.